And gentlemen, you wanted a trade, you got a trade. And this is the Locked On Astros podcast, instant reaction to the trade for Kendall Graveman and Rafael Montero. Yes, it cost you Abraham Toro, but we're going to talk about this more on this special edition of the Locked On Astros podcast.
It's the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hello and welcome to Locked On Astros, your daily Astros podcast. Here are your hosts, Eric the Man Huysman and Brett H-Town Wheelhouse Chancey.
We are Locked On Houston Astros, and we hope that you join us for a daily Locked On Astros podcast. Are we feeling a little bit better than we were last night? I know I am. You can find me on Twitter at Eric Talks Stros. You find the show at Locked On Astros, your team every day. Brett, where can I find you at?
They can find me at H-Town Wheelhouse on Twitter and at Stros411 on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook. Always positive, always Stros.
All right, so we're not going to really treat this like a full show, but I do want to go ahead and we do have a chat here. So if you want to go ahead and put your reactions here, we'll go ahead and put those down here. We got a lot of people joining in, and we want to just go and hear your reaction. I was cooking dinner, and all of a sudden I hear that Abraham Toro has a Mariners jersey on, and I'm like, wait. That's weird. Is this April Fool's Day?
Yeah.
No, this is legit. And when's the last time you hear a player going before we actually hear about the trade? And I think Abraham Toro is one of our big pieces that the Astros had on the 40-man roster to make a trade. So this is a big-time deal for the Houston Astros. And to get Kendall Graveman, this is a big piece, guys. This is somebody who could compete for the closer's role down the road. This is somebody like yesterday. We didn't have a option for Ryan Presley, so we had to bring in Brooks Raley. Now you have Kendall Graveman. This is a big deal. Rafael Montero, yes, he was designated for assignment by the Mariners, but this is somebody that maybe Brent Strom can bring in and maybe fix. So what are your initial thoughts? Then we'll get to some of these chats.
Yeah, I definitely like the move. I like the move because, A, you didn't have to sell the farm or get rid of any ultra valuable pieces, and it ends up being a salary dump with Joe Smith. With Kendall Graveman not paying him much, even though it's a rental, he's someone you could probably lure back in to sign. The reclamation project of Rafael Montero definitely has his upside with the work with Strom, the great pitching guru himself. And so I think it's a great move. I think it's a great start. I know a lot of Astros fans were clamoring, were upset. You know, I wasn't happy when Chafin went to the A's. I know there were other moves, and then CBS reported today that like Max Scherzer wants to go to the West Coast. So there's all these things going on. Everyone's like, all right, now we need to go out and get Kimbrel. And now I don't think we need to go out and spend on a guy like Kimbrel. Kimbrel would cost, I think, of a whole lot more than what we are willing to give up, Eric, even though we have one of the quote-unquote bottom-tier minor league systems. You don't want to give up a Corey Lee. You don't want to give up a Hunter Brown. You don't want to give up a Pedro Leon, the few guys that you're really counting on in the future. And so this makes sense. Hey, you're in Seattle, but it did throw me off because I saw random people that we know and interact with personally, and they were like, wait, why is Abraham Toro on the field in a Mariners uniform? And then things started coming out, and I believe Brian McTaggart was the first one to actually officially report the trade. I saw Yuli's Instagram where they're like, it was like they're sending Joe Smith off, and they actually took down him hugging Toro. And so I think the writing was on the wall. People started putting A and B together. And again, I think it's a great trade. I don't think they're done, Eric. In my mind, there's no way that this is all they do, because if you can go out there and you can get another valuable piece to help this bullpen out, why wouldn't you do that? I mean, can you imagine if they get maybe not bullpen, can you imagine if they go out and get another starter, what that would do to this roster? Because after last night's implosion, someone said, do you think last night sped this process up? I'm pretty sure that James Click was in talks with them before they got to Seattle. Like, they didn't suddenly go, oh my God, we need a relief pitcher, let's go get one. I don't think it was that reactive, but it definitely brought to the importance and brought everything to the top. Like, yeah, we've got to go ahead and pull the trigger now.
Well, the Mariners are in this weird state. They're in this buy and sell mode. They're trying to buy, but they're also trying to sell. So they knew that they weren't probably going to be able to re-sign Kendall Graveman. So they're able to get 4 more years of Abraham Toro, because he's a free agent before the 2026 season. So that was a good move for them. They got somebody who could man their third base or maybe first base. So this was a good move for the Mariners. They got somebody who's probably going to walk this year. But this was a bad move for a team that's looking like they could have a chance to make a playoff run. And the locker room, the Mariners locker room, did not like this. And
really,
yeah, they're reporting that the Mariners locker room is not happy about this. And so they're saying that this is sending a wrong message to both the clubhouse and the fan base. He gets 4 extra years of control with Toro, but it's easy to question what the Mariners have done here. So there's a lot of people that are questioning this. And Joe Smith, this is something that is kind of lost in the shuffle here. The Astros were able to do a mini salary dump here. Joe Smith has not been great this year. That's not something that we can just sweep under the rug. He's a great guy, and he's had a great time here, but he wasn't pitching that great this year. So this was a way for the Astros to kind of unload some of the salary this year. And so that way that they can maybe get closer to the luxury tax threshold. But I don't think at this point, if they're really going to go all in, I don't think that's going to really matter. But a lot of people have been saying, why is Joe Smith on this team? Oh, he's no longer on his team. And now you have Rafael Montero. And so James Click said that they hope to have Graveman on the active tonight. And the plan is for Montero to come in the ballpark tomorrow and throw a bullpen and perhaps be activated. So this is a pitcher that the Mariners is designated for assignment. And they hope to have Montero come in, throw, and hopefully be active tomorrow. So hope Brett Strom has some of that magic fairy dust or something there.
Yeah, I really think that this just works out perfectly. And I love this time of the baseball season, because especially now, Eric, there isn't a second signing. There isn't the whole Justin Verlander late in the season second free agency signing period. This is it. And so if you don't get it done now, you won't get it done. And so I do believe that this is a situation that if the Astros have marginal success and they make it to the World Series, they run for the title, heck, maybe when they win it, why wouldn't Kendall Graveman stay in Houston? Why wouldn't he want to be a part of this winning culture? He's been in Seattle, and he is 30 years old. He is a rental. Both him and Montero, they are both 30. Kendall Graveman right now, his ERA is 0.82 and his FIP is 2.88. And his ground ball percentage is 51.7%, which is actually a really good thing, being his home park now is Minute Maid Park. Montero, he's arbitration eligible in 2022. He's also 30. He does have a massive ERA. In July, he had an almost 10 ERA, but I think we can fix that. His FIP is really high at 4.03. His projected ERA is 3.78. His projected FIP is 3.93. His ground ball percentage is 44.4%. As we talked on our trade deadline special with Larry the GM, you want a guy that has less than 40% ground ball percentage rate. Now, on the contrary, I think Justin Verlander has higher than 40%, and we have other pitchers that were over 40%, but they're kind of masters of their craft. So a guy like this that's had issues and struggled, I think he comes in, Brent Strom helps him out. He kind of gets quote unquote fixed. But man, what an injection for these players. They go from third place to first place in the division to, hey, let's help them win the division. Let's make a World Series run.
Yeah, I know. And there's some Mariners fans in here kind of saying, well, the Mariners are just trying to get rid of Montero. Yeah, we know that. And if he doesn't work, then what will the Astros do? they'll just designate for him for assignment. There's a low risk there, and that's the good move there. This was just a low risk, high reward. This guy in 2019, he was one of the best relievers in baseball. So that's something to kind of look at. So would you bet on Presley staying the closer for the rest of the season? I wonder what Bet Online would say after this trade.
Yeah, so betonline.ag is your sportsbook expert. They are the guys to go to. So if you're like me, I'm not an avid sports bettor. So I need someone who is an expert in the sports betting business to help guide me on my trades. And so what I do is I go to sports. I go to betonline.ag. They have all the information. They have the latest news. They have all the props and pretty much anything you want to bet on. They have it. UFC, NBA, the NBA draft coming up this week, the MLB playoffs, who's going to have the most home runs, who's going to lead the league in average, who will the Astros play in the World Series, so many things. So if you go to betonline.ag using your mobile device or your computer and you sign up, you'll get a 50% welcome bonus, but you got to use the promo code Locked On. That's right. Use the promo code Locked On. That's LOCKED, Locked On, because betonline.ag are your sportsbook experts.
All right. I just saw a tweet from Greg Bailey, and he said that Dusty Baker was buying shoes at Seattle Nordstrom when James Click called about the Toro trade to Mariners. 10 seconds later, Toro walked past him at the store. So that
really,
so that had to be awkward.
You heard it here first.
So hey, by the way, Toro, come here. You're just traded, buddy.
Yeah, you were just traded. You like my shoes?
Hey, by the way, let me go ahead and buy you some shoes. That would be awesome.
And then Abraham Toro's like, what are those? You remember that from 2012? Anyways, I digress.
Yeah. So Abraham Toro has filled the role that the Astros needed him to this year. Let's go and address this. I think that Presley is the closer right now, and Dusty Baker did address this. He said, I plan initially to leave Presley as our closer. So are we having part 2 of the Luke Gregerson versus Ken Giles?
I don't think so, because this is what I'm thinking. If Kendall Graveman he seems like a pretty awesome just person. The fact that he's a major league pitcher, he's had success. He's going to want to be a part of that success. You don't want to come in as a player and disrupt anything. If it's not broke, don't fix it. So having him as a setup guy, I think is just as effective, if not more important, than having him in the closer role. It would be the same thing if the shoe was on the other foot. If we went and got Presley and we had Graveman and Graveman was our closer, Presley wouldn't come in and go, hey, I'm the closer now. I don't think these guys at this stage of their career do that. It's not like a quarterback on a team. It's not like an ace number 1 pitcher taking another number 1 pitcher spot in the rotation. Right. So I think it's going to fit in nicely. Graveman is going to want to win. He's going to want to succeed. And so he's going to come in and find out all he needs to know for the role that they want. I love him as an 8th inning guy. I mean, I love Stanek at the back end. I've always liked him at the back end. I know he's had a mixed bag of results, but Stanek, Graveman, Presley, I mean, that's not bad, Eric.
Right. And Smith is out of the equation now, so that's something that a lot of people should be happy about. But Baker also said that Presley continue to be his closer, but Graveman gives them another closing option. Nights Presley is available. So this all makes sense. And Jerry DiPoto says that this move does not make sense alone, but you have to wait for some other moves he has coming. So for all the Mariners fans who are joining the conversation, there are other moves that are on the horizon. So don't just your GM has some other moves. So I think James Click has some other moves on horizon, and whether that be Max Scherzer, who knows? I don't know if the Astros really need Max Scherzer, but that would be somebody that the Astros could go after.
Yeah,
they didn't touch their prospect pool. That's the one thing that you have to look at here. Abraham Toro is a good backup corner infielder. He's somebody that has filled a role while Alex Bregman has been out. Alex Bregman will probably not be back for another 4 or 5 days, but he's filled his role. And now that Ledmiz Diaz back, that kind of opened this role. Now I'm sure we're going to have Robel Garcia coming back now that Abraham Toro's off the roster, but Abraham Toro, he's going to be missed.
Yeah, exactly. So Eric Martinez asks us, what's the probability of other moves? I believe it's 70 to 80%. I don't see a low percent chance of them just doing this and that's it. And so what we do is we just sit back and wait. If y'all are not aware, subscribe to our YouTube channel. And
Please.
Thursday night, we have Robert Flores from MLB Network, one of the anchors, Houston's own Robert Flores, Roflo, coming on the show, joining Eric and I. It's going to be a great show. And next week, I'm not going to let the cat out of the bag, but next week, to begin our week, we have another big guest coming back on, a returning guest. And so I'm excited about that, to talk about all the reactions of all the trades that the Astros made. So now we have, Johnny Munoz mentions, we have Javier, Taylor, Graveman, Presley, Stanek, Baez, and our bullpen, Baez coming back. And so
You forgot somebody.
Oh, who is that? Who is
our favorite hero from last night?
Oh, you're you gonna say his
what
name?
About Rayleigh? What about Rayleigh?
Oh, come on, man. Come on, Eric. You got to bring that up. But seriously, it is. I think it's a really good move for the Astros. I think it's a smart move by Click. And anytime people are like, Click is a moron, or Click is, and I'm like, I think we expect every move to be a blockbuster move. We expect every move for Click to go out and just be a groundbreaking trade dealer and trade maker, but they're not going to do it. They're going to make the smart moves. Remember, Click, how he got it before he got into baseball, was an analytical guy with baseball. And so he's been studying this stuff for a long time. He was successful with the Rays, and people, I think, have been judging him too quickly and way too harshly, because when's the last time he had a free agency period to really deal with someone? They didn't have that in 2020. So here you go. It's this year. And so we'll see how it pans out. I think it works out well for the Astros. It makes sense that the Mariners clubhouse is upset, because they are making a push. I mean, they've won 4 in a row. They're not playing bad baseball. They are a lot better now, Eric, than I thought they would be. I have a lot of respect for the Mariners. The Mariners are doing way better. I thought the Angels would be better than the Mariners. I thought the Mariners and the Rangers would be fighting for last place. And hell, hand it to them. They came back. That was an improbable win, and they got it under their belt. But now we got their closer, so I kind of like that aspect of it.
All right, so I will give this trade for only giving up Abraham Toro. I would give this trade A. I mean, basically, not even accounting what Rafael Montero could do, because he's kind of a ace. He's kind of a low risk, high reward type of pitcher. If it's just Graveman for Montero, for Graveman, I'm going for it. That's a great trade. And Smith, I mean, he's a great guy, but he wasn't really doing much with the.
I give this. I give this an A+. Of course, I'm a history teacher. We kind of grade things a little bit easier than math teachers. You're a math teacher, and so you probably look more technically at the numbers. I'm like, hey, I know this kid didn't know anything before he came to this test. I'm going to give him a couple bonus points. So I give the Astros an A+, just because I really like this move. I like where it brings us. I like what we gave away or did not give away, and I think it keeps the doors wide open to make another big trade if we want to go out and get a starting pitcher. I just don't know if a Max Scherzer is necessarily that guy.
I think Max Scherzer would be the guy to put the Astros over the top.
Well, right. But I'm just trying to hold my reservation on wanting him.
The Astros so
No,
scary.
He would. No. I mean,
it would be like having Justin
Verlander
in the playoffs again. That's how.
Yeah, and so I'll mention this because I know we don't want to go too long, but I know Blummer on his podcast said that he was asked about Justin Verlander coming back. He was saying, by his estimation, he doesn't think he will come back even in the playoffs, but we don't know. It's a guessing game. At the very minimum, he could come back in the playoffs. But how crazy would it be for Scherzer to come in and start, and then Verlander to come in, and then Graveman and Presley to close out a game? I think there are a lot of scenarios. And what you put up here, someone said sacrifice the future for Scherzer.
What if they could do it without sacrificing the future? That's
so thing. It all depends, and here's why I
take on the more money. If you take on the money, take on more contract, because there's about 100 million that's deferred on Scherzer beyond this year.
Okay, well, no, he's done after this year. He's a free
I
agent.
know, but they have deferred money.
Okay, well, here's the thing that's holding me back, because I do want Scherzer, but here's the thing that's holding me back. The Nationals have played hardball with us before, and we didn't get it done. Remember, we found out after the fact that we went after Harper. They didn't want to do it. Like, they asked for a king's ransom for him, and they're like, okay, forget that. So I don't know that the Nationals are going to deal with us. But then again, I didn't think Click was going to make this move today. So
apparently Trey Turner just tested positive for COVID-19. So this is a bad time, right? For a lot of people thought he was about to be traded, but he just tested positive. So this is the trade deadline. Welcome to the insanity, and where players get traded on the same field. Who thought this would happen? But Abraham Toro, where the F is Toro, we'll always remember that. Justin Verlander will always remember that game. And we're going to miss you, buddy. But unfortunately, the Astros needed relief help. And hopefully the Astros can go out there and make at least one more move, maybe two more moves. I doubt they have the capital to go out there and make two more moves. But the Astros have made a statement, and they have improved their bullpen. Am I counting on Montero to do much? No, but if he does, that would be a step in the right direction.
But now we have two strong back end guys, and I think that's excellent for Presley. Takes a little bit of pressure too off of Presley, because if you can have Graveman kind of clean things up in an eighth inning, then bring in Presley, there's a lot less to worry about. And so I think it's awesome. Again, I understand Seattle being upset in the clubhouse because they want to win, and I know, because I've talked to fans from Seattle, and they just always feel like they just don't know about their GM, about their management. We weren't convinced on our trade show, Eric, that they were in the selling mode, but if they were, these were two of the guys that we were looking at going after.
And guys, the trade deadline is approaching, and the Locked On MLB YouTube channel will be streaming a Hot Stove Live this Friday with a whole bunch of the people of the Locked On lineup. If there's an Astros trade, I'll probably be on there. So subscribe to Locked On MLB and Locked On Astros on YouTube, and tune in on July 30th, beginning at 3 p.m. Eastern. So guys, please subscribe to us. Click the likes and subscribe. And if the Astros have a great game and we're up, we may do a show later tonight. If not, we'll see you in the morning, and go Stros.